Alright guys, now flipping the page and talking about one of probably the best wintertime bushcrafting knives of all time, and potentially an added guess, the Mora Robust. I think that this is probably one of the best bang for the buck. This is a knife that can be had oftentimes for under $20, and it brings an incredible amount of value with everything that it is, from the steel to the thickness to its capabilities immediately coming out the door, being able to do just about any task that you need it to do within its blade length. So first up, you can see how it pretty much effortlessly handles things such as feather sticking. The Scandinavian grind, true Scandinavian grind, is known for being a fantastic performer in woodworking. And of course, this is also a little bit of chest lever action up in this, just to show that it can do a wide variety of different wood-related tasks especially well. And like I said, it is a smaller blade, but it is a very, very strong performer. Next up, of course, we have to do some notching, and this is yet another spot, unsurprisingly, where the Mora Robust with its Scandinavian grind does an absolute fantastic job and delivers the goods, delivers the performance. I just do one notch here, but this blade can do just about any notch on the tri-stick line of notches that you would want it to do, and being it's still reasonably small size, it has a lot of agility with its blade. Of course, next we transition to a little bit of batoning. Now, the reason why I didn't really specialize too much batoning with this is, of course, this is just over a 3-inch blade, so you're not going to be able to do a ton of batoning with this style or with this size of blade. But for just about anything that you can fit under this blade, you will be able to baton it pretty well. And in my opinion, for bushcrafting, I'm not as concerned about blade length and being able to baton, for the reason that if you are going out bushcrafting proper, you should have hatchets, axes, saws that can do the larger portion of woodworking for you. Alright, and the next up, I wanted to slide this guy in here to really kind of show off the Mora Pathfinder. The Mora Pathfinder is one of those knives that I actually think would be a decent choice for, once again, a budget winter bushcrafting knife. And coming out the gate swinging, I wanted to include it batoning straight through a knot. A lot of people consider these Moras to be weak or to not be that strong in general, but I wanted to showcase that, you know, will you be able to absolutely destroy this thing? Yes. If you try to baton through a cinder block, it might get destroyed, but in any realistic application, you'd be surprised at how tough things like the Mora Pathfinder actually are. Next up, I just wanted to quickly show some of its other abilities, such as feather sticking. Once again, the Pathfinder has a very similar true Scandinavian grind, such as the Robust does. So a lot of the principles remain the same. That's kind of why I breezed through this portion, but it really is an excellent showcase of how this larger blade that may not seem to be as practical or useful. I think the Pathfinder kind of looks like a silly knife, but once you actually start using it, it is probably one of the better larger knives out there for true bushcrafting. And so once again, it can easily feather stick, it can easily notch, and most importantly, it is actually ground from the factory with a sharp spine, so it can also throw sparks, as you can also see here. It is just a very, very all-around versatile knife, and there's really not much that it can't do. Lastly, kind of rounding out the conclusion, as I've talked about with some other knives, to be fair, is snow ingress. Once again, it's important to consider in the snow, you know, how does your sheath ingress snow and how does it get rid of it? And with both of these sheaths, there's not a lot of holes in them. There's not a lot of ways for snow to ingress. So I dropped both of them kind of push them around in the snow, see if you can get naturally some snow powder in there, and there really wasn't much buildup. There really wasn't much to it, and that's essentially what you would expect to see with a properly designed wilderness winter blade. So both of these knives, whether you go with the large or the small, are fantastic performers, and once again, very solid budget options. There are cheaper knives out there, but when I talk about budget, I think, like other people say, budget is more of a value offering. What are you getting for the money that you're spending? Are you getting something that outperforms your dollar? And in my opinion, both the Pathfinder and the Robust are knives that outperform their dollar. And so for me, they do this in such a manner that makes them a very solid, very value-oriented choice. Like I said, they may not be the cheapest knife out there, but they certainly have some of the greatest value.